Mr. Barrett, please go ahead.
So let's say a Canadian who didn't know Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to buy a condo on their own, and let's break down those numbers. Say they have 20% down payment. Let's say they get a great mortgage rate, which is tough after 9 years of Justin Trudeau and the economic vandalism that he's perpetrated on Canadians. That'd work out to about $42,000 a month for your residence. How much do you pay in rent each month for your official residence? Just the number, please.
$1,800.
$1,800 on $42,000 a month. So it's fair to say that you're getting a massive subsidy worth tens of thousands of dollars for your rent every single month. Is that right?
No.
Okay, so what's the cost and what are you paying, Mr. Clark? Because the difference is being paid by someone. That someone is Canadian taxpayers. So it's being subsidized by the government of Canada. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. I pay what the department asks me to pay. I have no role in negotiating that. That's in the that's in my
who pays
terms
who
of
pays
my
the
employment.
rest? Who pays the rest? It's your answer was $1,800. So Canadians are subsidizing you by the tune of $40,000, $40,200. I think it's unbelievable when you look at the context. 1 in 4 Canadians relying on food banks this fall to feed their families. Do you think that that is acceptable for Canadians, that they're subsidizing your rent during a housing and homelessness crisis in our country, that you're getting a more than $40,000 per month rent subsidy paid for by Canadian taxpayers?
Look, I don't understand your numbers. We're returning more than $7 million to Canadian taxpayers. That's the important number in here.
Sorry, you couldn't do that for less than $40,000 a month in rent? Is that your contention?
I don't know where this $40,000 comes from. Perhaps you could explain that to me.
Well, I did, sir, and I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. It was very straightforward. The terms that Canadians would have to enter into to live in the kind of place that they're furnishing you with, it would come at a price of more than $40,000, $42,000 a month, just for the cost of the residence, to say nothing of the taxes and utilities that they would have to pay. You're only paying $1,800 a month. Is there anywhere else on Billionaires Row that you can rent for $1,800 a month? Let's see if that makes it easier for you to understand the difference for Canadians. Is there anywhere else, any of your neighbors, are they able to pay $1,800 a month?
I have said from the beginning, I'm not in real estate. I don't go around asking people what they pay for rent. So I would not be very helpful to you in that regard.
I question your helpfulness on a range of things. Certainly, it's not present in these responses. Just quickly, you and Ambassador Bob Ray has an apartment in the same building as your old residence. Is Mr. Ray's apartment larger than your apartment?
I have no idea.
Did the U ambassador previous to Mr. Ray occupy the unit that was assigned to you?
The unit that was assigned to me at 550 Park Avenue was occupied by the previous UN ambassador.
Do you know why they were switched?
When Ambassador Ray came here, both were available. Both are properties belonging to Global Affairs Canada.
Does his unit Does his unit need the major upgrades that would necessitate a move as well?
No.
Okay. Why is that? Was it brought up? It has full accessibility per Canadian standards. That's your understanding?
That's my understanding, but I'm no expert on the rules of accessibility. But my understanding is okay, that property was maintained and renovated and is up to code.
Interesting. So they made a $9 million offer on this luxury condo, and you visited it on May the appraisal was done on May the 9th, but you visited it on April 26th. Why were you visiting a condo that an offer had been made on but hadn't been appraised? How did the price get arrived at? I know you're not an expert in real estate, but wouldn't you get it appraised before you make an offer?
I will tell you what I said in my opening statement. I had nothing to do with this process, first, middle, or last.
Look, Mr. Clark, you're Justin Trudeau's $9 million man. Canadians don't know what extra value they're getting for this $9 million. And frankly, your answers today do nothing to assuage the concerns of Canadians who are struggling just to feed themselves.
Thanks, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Sabera, welcome to Ogo. You have 5 minutes, please. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to all my colleagues. I hope you and your respective families are doing well. Welcome, Consul General, to this to Ogo and to this committee here. Consul General, I at one time in my life lived in New York City for a period of about 7 years. To Ms. Vignola, I thank you for sharing your thoughts on the day of September 11th. I was there that day, and I'm a September 11th survivor, so it is etched in my memory 23 years later in my life and will always be a part of me. And I send my prayers are always and thoughts to those loved ones, those families that no longer have those loved ones with them, and those bright futures that are no longer here, whether they're from Cantor Fitzgerald or from other firms that occupied the floors of the thing. Mr. Consul General, I kind of want to start my comments. So I sort of want to apologize in a way, in the sense that I think the word liar has been used today by some of my honorable colleagues. And I've sat on committees for the last 9 years, and I've been in Parliament. And when I hear that type of language, when we invite witnesses of whoever they may be, from business, academia, nonprofit, or consul generals like yourself, I always become dismayed when parliamentarians use that type of language. So on my behalf, personally, I think it's undignified, unnecessary, and does not add to anything parliamentary decorum. As a member of the Canada-U.S. Parliamentary Association, and with a riding that is very much occupied with trade and investment with the United States, there is no stronger relationship than with the United States of America. $3 billion a day of trade goes back, and trade and services go back and forth our borders. New York State has an economy larger than most countries in the world, and would be probably in the G20, the G10, if I'm not mistaken. And we need to obviously leverage that relationship. The sale of the initial apartment is obviously going to bring in more proceeds than the purchase of the other apartment. And I know it's basic math. It may not go across to some of my colleagues, but when you sell something for more than you buy something else, there's actually what's called a surplus and net proceeds coming into the government. So I applaud the government for doing that. And one of the things I do want to say to you, Consul General, when I ask is just how important is the nexus of New York City in terms of the finance, in terms of the business, in terms of the commerce for the Canadian economy, those relationships that exist for the standard of living, for jobs, for a two-way trade that goes back and forth between the United States and Canada. If you can just touch on that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Sure. I will do it as efficiently as I can. I just want to take one quick moment to thank Madame Vignola for her comments on September 11th. I, too, was in New York that evening of September 11th, not in the morning, but I was here in the evening. Yesterday, I attended a service of remembrance along with members of the Toronto Police Service and the Barrie Police Service from Ontario, as well as our military attaché. It is part of the soul of New York, remembering September 11th. In terms of the importance to Canada, it cannot be overstated. New York City itself is the economic hub, not only of the United States, but in many ways the economic hub of the world. Decisions that are taken here, directions that are taken here, and opinions that are created here drive policy and drive wealth or poverty around the world. Where the opportunities are created are here in New York City. It is our job, therefore, to make sure that we seize the opportunities, create those opportunities, and accelerate those opportunities for Canada. Because, as I said earlier, the whole purpose of somebody like myself and this magnificent trade and investment division we have here at the consulate is to create wealth and jobs for Canadians. That's it. That is the bottom line. And it happens here. It's not to say that there aren't other areas that are equally that are important as well. They are, but in many ways, all the money in the world's in New York City.
Unmute there. Consul General, we do know within Parliament we have a wide range of views of our parliamentary colleagues. In fact, on the official opposition, we have members there who are actually for Brexit. They're not free traders. They don't believe in, Canada-U.S. free trade agreement. They don't believe in free trade agreements with Europe. And we are seeing some of those views come out in the last little while. And it's unfortunate because we know the Canadian economy is an open economy. We know we prosper when we trade and we create linkages. And the attacks that we're seeing today on yourself, on our officials in terms of moving our relationship forward. You mentioned the countries in Europe that have expanded their footprint in the United States. And look, we as a country sold our presence in London for some money, where it was $100 or $200 million at the time. If you go back to London, UK today, that decision by the Harper government, that building's probably worth $1 billion, $1.5 billion in today's dollars. So much like the Conservatives have done here in the past in the province of Ontario with Highway 407, we see the same thing taking place with the Conservatives federally. They like to sell some Crown assets and take some money.
I need you to wrap up, Mr. Sobera. You're past your time.
Oh, thank you, Chair. And then claim that they're good fiscal stewards, which is completely false. Good to see everyone today, Chair. Thank you for your time. Look forward to seeing everyone on Monday back at Ottawa. Consul General, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Mr. Sobera.